Good evening. Once again, it's Wednesday night and it's lighting night, and we have got Nick Airriess here from Chauvet DJ. Good evening, Nick.
Good evening, John.
We have got some cool stuff to talk about tonight. We're going to be talking about, well, one of the things a lot of us really get excited about lights, and that's color.
Mm-hmm. So tonight we're going to talk about color gels, and I'm going to touch on some blending filters too. Now, blending filters, honestly, I think that they're one of the most underappreciated things in the lighting world right now. People don't use them very often. They're normally used in a place where you may not have the best color blending, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's do the color first. It's more fun.
Let's start with the color now. Now, back when I first started DJing, and I went to the local audio shop, and they had, of course, these big sheets of color, and there was a number code to those. Mm-hmm. Now, what did that mean?
So the number code for gels is generally from the company that manufactures them, like Roscoe or Apollo. They'll have specific colors for that gel that will it'll allow you to be able to identify it, so you know what color you're projecting out and what color you want. Like an LD would specify, I want a Roscoe 58 or I want a Roscoe 22 or whatever, and they would know that was seafoam green or some specific color that they have matched in. And a lot of guys will actually carry these little color books. I have one at work that has all of the individual color gels that each of those manufacturers make. That way you can always check your color and make sure it's the right one, and then give them the number, and you get the exact color that you want. I actually have a couple of these color gels here. This one's a little guy here. This is from our Easy Pin pack, which we'll show you here a little later. But we give you 5 different color gels. Now, granted, normally you guys would buy color gels in a sheet, and this was actually really convenient because you'd have one big space that would fit into a gel frame holder. There's some of our older par cans that have those. Obviously, remember really way back when there were halogen par cans, which a lot of places still have them. But I like to pretend that's history, John. I like to pretend it doesn't exist anymore. But you'd have these gel frame holders that you could put all these different colors in front of, and it would create a different output of color. Like if it was a nice halogen colored lamp, sometimes you would add a blue color gel to it to make the temperature a little bit more cool white. Okay. So that people didn't seem so red. Like if somebody had a sunburn, or if I'm wearing this red t-shirt and you hit me with a halogen, I'm going to glow red right here, but not so much here. So that's where you may want to add a little bit darker blue. Not quite this dark, but a little bit lighter, to bring in a little bit more of the cool white color for the look. And obviously it just depends on the event too, what you're doing. There's some events that you want people to be lit a little bit more in a warm white or a cool white, or if you really choose to, magenta. A lot of guys would do is they would stagger the color gels, blue green, blue green, blue green, and then they'd be able to bounce back and forth between different colors. And before LED color blending, the color gel, you'd actually set these up ahead of time, and you would have to remember which par was which and which color was which, and set them up all in a pattern or a row if you choose to. And eventually people started putting this gel on like a roller that would scroll across, and a lot of people call those color scrollers. And they'll have an actual roll of color gel, but like 5 different colors or 7 different colors, and you'll be able to scroll across and change the colors. Now that's a lot like the way that our dichroic filters work in our moving heads now with white LEDs, because they're just basically a color scroller but on a wheel, so that the wheel goes all the way around and you go to different colors and set, and then you can do the cross colors and what's it called, dual colors, like in the Intimidator 350 you can do like a white and a blue, or you can do a green and a red or whatever. So the color scrollers originally would have that big square piece of gel, and it would just scroll through the different colors, and that was, pretty much a long time that was set up that way, because you could set a color and you wouldn't have to go up there and change the gel. You could just change it. But now with the advent of LEDs, the color gel is really not as important unless you're dealing with like pin spotting, or you're trying to make somebody's face a specific color and you only have cool white LEDs, or you only have warm white LEDs. For example, right here, of course, because I'm a child and I stick everything that has a magnet to everything that's magnetic. I have this stuck to my desk. So this is actually our easy pin. Get my little gel out of here. This is our easy pin. It's also sold in easy pin pack. It comes in 6. It's a rechargeable. There we go. Got it. It's a rechargeable pin spot, and inside there is a little cool white LED. So you can see how it's kind of blue. It's not exactly quite warm white, and if it's on my face, you can see it's definitely blue, or it's definitely kind of cool white. And if you look at back wall there, it's nice cool white, which is great for pin spotting flowers. Flowers, when you put this nice cool white onto like a bright colored flower, it just pops and looks so good. But there are instances where you'd want it as a warm white. So we include this fancy little color gel.
Yep.
Now what's interesting is because this is projecting light, not like looking through it. You're imagining the light after it's gone through it. If I put this over the lens here, it looks like I'm orange, or I've been eating too many carrots or something.
Yeah.
And so if I take this and I actually snap it to the front, because this guy has this really handy little gel frame holder on the front.
Okay.
Just snap it right in there. I don't have the clip, unfortunately. I did not bring that, but it does stay in there pretty well. It's just if you're going to be shaking it around, see how it falls out. Yep. So that clip that comes with it. It's just not with this one. That actually holds it in place. So now that you've got it on, you can see I turn it on, and it actually doesn't really even look orange except for around the outsides.
Yeah.
And you get this really nice warm white color. So I'm going to just show you on the back wall there. I don't know if you can tell the difference between the two.
Boy.
But I'll leave it on, and then just chasing this around like a little ball. I'll take it off. See the color difference?
There you go. You can definitely see the blue is gone.
Yep. So I put it back on, and it's this nice warm color.
Mm-hmm.
And this is great for if you're pin spotting something or someone. If you have a kind of a warm white feel to the wedding. I know there's been a lot of neutral colors out there right now for weddings, where they'll do a sea foam or like a very light blue or something like that, and a warm white is like perfect for that. So the cool thing about this too is that you can also take those color gels, and if you want to specifically pin spot something a color, you can set it up and have it be magenta.
Sure.
So that magenta can be used for any number of things. You can color match it. You can use it to color white flowers, magenta. If you're just demonstrating a cake, you can have the cake all white and put the magenta color or the green color or any of that on and make a really nice little color.
Yeah.
So this pin spot comes with a couple of different color. It comes with 5 color gels. However, you can easily buy your own sheet of color gel if there's a specific like number or type that you like.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get these, you can actually just use these for stencils. Actually use that on this, and you can still see some of my little marks around the outside. But it works, and no one will ever see it once it's installed in one of these bad boys here.
Sure.
So, from an LED standpoint, though, unless you're using warm white or cool white LEDs, color gels really aren't used all that much.
Yeah.
So the thing that's really used a lot in LED now is color blending filters.
Okay.
In fact, I think that a lot of the popularity of these has become because of LEDs. For a while, it was hard to get that perfect kind of color blend where you'd have a red and a green and a blue right next to each other.
Yep.
But they'd always have that kind of a halo, like where the color wasn't quite perfect.
Mm-hmm.
For example, right here we've got our Easy Rail RGBA. This is a 10 millimeter LED diode, so it's these little tiny guys. I'll get in real close here, and you can see. And each of these is a separate color. So if you imagine when they are projected onto a wall or a surface or whatever, the color doesn't quite hit the same exact spot. In fact, it's really kind of easy to see. I'll flip this bad boy on here. Try and hit the back wall real quick. Yep, there we go. So you can see how it's a little bit purple. And then around the outsides of it, there's like kind of a lighter, almost like an orange or a blue.
Yeah.
This is caused by the LEDs not being in the exact same spot, or the light originating from not the exact same spot. So what we do is we use a color blending filter to actually accommodate or to get rid of that, to make it nice, to blend nicely. Now, granted, there are certain advantages to using a 10 millimeter LED fixture. For example, it saves you a lot of money. and this is just a separate note, just so you
Right.
know. It saves you a lot of money because the 10 millimeter LEDs are really, really efficient. So they don't use as much battery power as like a quad color or a hex color LED. So you're losing a little bit in the color blending, but what you're gaining is that they require less power, which will mean the fixture will cost less. You know what I mean? Like because you don't have to have an extra battery to power 5 quad color LEDs. You can have a smaller battery, so that means lower cost.
Sure.
That's one of the biggest costs in lighting right now is actually a battery source. That will make or break the cost of a fixture because it's so expensive.
Interesting.
Anyway, so to combat that kind of a color mixing thing, we use color blending filters. Right now, Chauvet actually sells 2 different types. There's one called the DF20D, which is this guy right here.
Okay.
There's a shiny side and a matte side. And then you can kind of see how I disappear in it, but if I get close enough, you can see me.
Oh, yeah.
That is actually the light being scattered out at 20 degrees from reflecting off my face or whatever.
Uh-huh.
We also sell, this one's my favorite. This one actually, I was so amazed when I first found out about these. This is actually called a 60 degree by 1 degree blending filter. That's the DF20D. This is the DF60 by 1D. Now you think 60 by 1, what does that mean?
That's what I'm wondering.
So what this does is it actually scatters light in 2 different directions. So it scatters light one direction at 60 degrees, and if you turn it, it scatters it at 1 degree. Now granted, it actually isn't 1 degree because the actual beam angle of the light coming out of these things is only changed 1 degree coming out of this. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It's not actually, you can't go narrower by using this. You have to use something called like a Fresnel lens or something like that. Otherwise, it doesn't go down. It only goes up.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, certainly does.
Okay, so if I were to take, just to illustrate what these filters do, I actually already cut one of these guys out, as you can see.
I saw the little spot
from there. So I cut one of these out for my Easy Pin right here. Now this is really cool when you're talking about doing a nice, as you can see with the Easy Pin, this guy has a really nice tight spot.
Yeah.
Back in the corner there, which is great for shooting a long distance. It's great for spotting a specific thing, but sometimes you want to be able to add a little bit of a wash to it. So what I did was I popped the 60 degree blending filter in there.
Is that the 60 or the 20?
Sorry, the 20 degree.
Okay.
I apologize.
No problem.
So the 20 degree is sitting in there now, and so when I turn it on, now all of a sudden I have this really, really wide.
Wow.
I mean, it doesn't change it terribly, but it gives it a nice big wide opening, so you can cover a much larger space.
For sure, because you're only maybe 8 feet away from that back wall.
Not even. Yeah.
Not even. Yeah, and it doubled it. Over doubled it.
So this is a great tool to have in your arsenal because you can cut these out ahead of time and have them ready to go in a moment's notice, put them in your bag with your gels or whatever, and all of a sudden you get to an event and you realize that the bride just moved the cake table 10 feet closer to the actual spot where you're going to put the pin, and you're like, well, what do I do? Oh, I got a 20-inch blending filter. I can just cover the whole table as opposed to pin spotting it from across the room.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a great tool. Now, the other thing that this is great for is doing color blending with the LEDs, like I was saying. So I'm going to see if I can do this all with one hand. We'll see. Yeah, it's difficult. So when you put the blending filter across the back, I can't do this with one hand. So you're just going to have to trust me on this one, unfortunately. I'm going to set it up here on the side here so you can see what we're doing. Okay. So pop my phone out of the little carriage here, and we'll flip the camera around so you can see it. Okay. So right now you can see this.
Oh yeah, now we can definitely see the
pin. You can definitely see the individual colors coming across there, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it goes up. It shoots up a pretty good distance. And what's nice about the 10 millimeter LEDs is they are a very narrow beam angle. Mm-hmm. So that means you get a very efficient punch of light going up the wall, and that's great for uplighting because it saves you money and it also gives you a great thing. And it's also nice too because if you think about it, most guys aren't using they aren't using all white. Generally, they're using single colors or multiple colors like blue and red or whatever to match a color.
Yes.
So I'm going to put this blending filter in here and watch what happens to those LEDs on the side. It gets a little bit better, Now, granted, you can see it's still not quite perfect. It's much better.
Yeah.
You see how the LEDs don't really. Let me see if I can jam this in here so I can talk to you and point at the same time. So you can see how the layer of LEDs goes down quite a bit.
Yeah.
You see how you don't actually see the colors mixing as much as you do right here. So right here, there's that really bright kind of color separation, whereas right here, there's not. And actually, you can even tell with my shadow, because what I'll do is I'll take this, put my finger right here, and you can see the different colors separating as my hand goes up.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You see that? Whereas if I go to the 20-degree filter, it's completely even.
Yeah.
So that allows the light to come out and blend much better before it actually leaves the before it actually hits the wall, which is great. The Freedoms actually have a spot for this color blending filter, so you can leave it the square shape and insert it into the Freedom, so you don't have to worry about cutting anything like I did with this guy. So that's just one like added bonus to the Freedoms, is you can actually insert this sucker right in there. So the other one, the 60 by 1, this one's really, really cool. So if we were to take the easy pin and shoot it through the 60 by 1, watch what happens on the back wall. You see?
It makes a line.
It makes a line. And
I
can
really
turn
does.
it. See that?
Yeah.
I can't really keep it straight, sorry, but
no, that's cool.
So you can turn it and actually shape it. And so you can actually use this on your pars to specifically make a par act like a strip light.
Yeah.
Luckily, right now we have this wonderful strip light. But if I had a par,
I lost
love it.
There we go.
No, I got you. Sorry. So if you have your easy rail right here, and you were to use the 60 by 1 blending filter, so you have two different directions you can go. Now look, you see how much that cuts that blending down? There really isn't any.
Yeah.
It comes out the exact color that you want. Whereas if you switch it to that 1 degree, there really isn't much of a change. So you can see how it completely changes the profile in which it comes out. Now, the thing that you really got to look at, though, is watch this. See this line right here? Yep. Watch this as I put the 60 degree in there. Now, all of a sudden, it covers way farther to the right.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it shoots all the way over there. Now, this is good for, if you're trying to light up a pillar or like a big cylinder, like the, sorry, my desk is a mess. You can light up a circular wall because it'll blend and spread the light out a lot farther. And obviously, the brighter the light you have, the more this works, because it just throws more light through it. And that's one thing you got to be really careful with these is that because they're actually spreading the light out more, you have to remember that they're spreading that light out. There's going to be less of it where it's hitting, so it's not going to be as bright as your original output. So it's kind of use it for very specific things, but it's definitely something that you really should have in your toolkit.
Yeah, for sure.
So, whoops.
What do those sheets cost typically in ballpark?
They're sold in 10 packs, and I'm not really sure. They're not very very expensive at all. There's another company out there too that sells a luminant. What's it called? It's like a luminant filter that you can actually stick on. Which is pretty cool, but these are available all over the place, so you can easily find them at like production shops or whatever. They're fairly inexpensive though. I don't want to give you an exact price. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, not a big deal. I just was wondering if we get an idea there. They're not too much.
Yeah, I can't think of one right now. Sorry.
Now that 60 by 1. Now, what other applications or I should say, what other lights could we looked at just the strip light there. What other lights would that work really well for?
I mean, it's great with pars. It's great with, obviously, that was kind of a funky effect with the Easy Pen, because if you think about it, the Easy Pen is such a narrow beam coming out of it that it creates that really funky like line thing, and it's neat. There's a lot of different options with it, but honestly, I haven't seen a lot of people using them yet. Yeah, that's why I'm so surprised. And I mean, I when I first came to Chauvet, I'd never heard of them before. Yeah, and then I spotted one and I played around with it for a little bit, and it was just awesome. So yeah, I could see definitely some of the brighter fixtures. You could really have a lot of fun. With absolutely, that. And especially if you have like your slim par a quad 12 or something. This actually will fit, on top of it, and you can get a really bright amount of light coming out and cover a huge wall and a huge area, and not, have to have multiple fixtures.
Mm-hmm.
So
is there some kind of on that sheet? Does it show you which way is the 60 and which is the 1, or is it basically that?
It's actually really difficult to tell, but the one thing that you can do is you can actually look through it and see. It's hard to see through the camera, but if you look not through the camera, you can see the lines like this.
Mm-hmm. And
if you turn it, you can see how most of them are justified this way.
That's
the only way you can really tell. And in all honesty, you kind of have to look at it like this. You have to get the lens going through it, and then turn it
and see.
It's really hard to it's really hard to tell. I'll be honest. And most of the time, I have to actually put it on and then turn it to see if I got it right or not. Because it's not very easy. Whereas the 20 degree, it's no matter what.
Whatever, whichever way.
Yeah. So
very neat. Very neat. Yeah, that's cool. Getting back to the color gels we were talking about. Now, you mentioned the numbers. Now, there was no rhyme or reason for the numbers between companies. I mean, it was like every company had their own numbering system. Is that how that went?
Not to my knowledge. Although I could probably ask some of our more theatrical lighting oriented people that work at our company. I come from the DJ world where we basically. I want a green gel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nope, not right.
Yep.
There we go. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's more most of the time when you see color gels, I've seen them at Guitar Center, I've seen them at like local DJ shops. They're just in a pack of like 7 different colors, and you just pick from what you got.
Yeah, exactly. One of the 7.
When it comes to theatrical stuff and very specific colors or numbers, I think that it's just a numbering system so the companies can keep track of which ones you want.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know. I'd have to ask a little bit more in depth. The people that really get into that.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
Stuff,
They're not what you and I do. I want green. Yep. How about blue?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, great stuff. Great stuff. Good information. I've learned a couple of things tonight now. and for us old guys, that's pretty exciting. So. But thanks very much, Nick. If you've got any questions or comments or anything, please put those in the comment section below the video. If you got some questions, you can get those to there. You can Facebook, wherever you want. We'll find them, and we can cover those in an upcoming show. If you've got some questions on lighting or DMX things or whatever, just let us know.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, Nick. You have yourself a wonderful evening.
Thank you, John. You as well.
Thank you much. This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV. Good night.